The rain came down like shattered glass, slicing through the silence of the city night. Aiden Cole stood at the entrance of his glass tower, the neon reflections trembling on his umbrella. Billionaire, CEO, genius, they called him. But behind every title, he was a man carved from loneliness. A man who built empires so he wouldn't have to face the emptiness inside his penthouse. He had stayed late again, not because he needed to, but because there was nothing and no one waiting at home. The thunder rumbled as his driver pulled up, but before he could step into the car, a faint sound cut through the storm. A cry? Aiden froze. He wasn't the kind of man who believed in fate, but something in that sound made him turn. Down the alley beside his building, something moved, small, crumpled, and shivering. He walked closer, shoes splashing through puddles, and what he saw stopped his heart. A woman lay against the brick wall, soaked to the bone, her face bruised and streaked with blood. Her clothes were torn, and her lips trembled as she tried to shrink away from him. "It's okay," Aiden said softly, dropping his umbrella and kneeling beside her. "You're safe now." Her eyes, hazel and wide with terror, darted to his. "Please, don't hurt me." "I won't," he whispered. He took off his coat, wrapping it around her trembling frame. "Let me help." She hesitated, then nodded, too weak to resist, as he lifted her into his arms. The rain fell harder, washing away the blood, but not the pain. Inside the car, Aiden barked an order to his driver. "To the hospital. Now." The woman drifted in and out of consciousness during the ride, mumbling something about someone finding her, about running. Aiden didn't press. He just held her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her cold skin. A strange tenderness rising inside him, foreign yet familiar. At the hospital, the doctors rushed her away. Hours passed. Aiden stayed in the waiting room, soaked, his coat gone, his heart pounding for reasons he couldn't name. When the doctor finally approached, Aiden stood. "Will she be all right?" "She'll recover physically," the doctor said. "She suffered severe bruising and exhaustion. We'll keep her overnight." She wouldn't give us her name. Aiden nodded. "Tell her she's not alone anymore." He came back the next day, and the next. For a week he visited, sitting quietly by her bed as she healed. Slowly she began to talk. Her name was Lily. She had run away from a man who claimed to love her, a man who used his fists to prove it. She'd fled with nothing but a broken phone and her will to live. "I didn't think anyone would stop," she said one afternoon, her voice barely above a whisper. "I almost didn't," Aiden admitted, meeting her eyes. "But I'm glad I did." A small smile curved her lips, the first he'd seen. It lit something inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. When she was discharged, Aiden didn't want to let her walk out into the world alone again. "Come stay at one of my guest houses," he offered. "Until you're ready." Lily hesitated. "Why are you helping me?" He thought for a long moment before answering. "Because I know what it feels like to have everything and still feel completely alone." That night, for the first time in years, Aiden didn't dine alone. Lily sat across from him in one of his quiet homes, wearing borrowed clothes and a soft smile. She was still fragile, but there was a quiet strength in her that he admired. Days turned into weeks. Lily began working at one of Aiden's charities, a foundation for women escaping domestic abuse. She was bright, resourceful, compassionate. Aiden found excuses to visit the office, pretending to check reports just to see her smile. They grew close, their bond unspoken but deep. He was her protector, her anchor. She was his reminder that there was still good in the world, still warmth, even for a man who thought he'd lost the ability to feel. One evening, months later, the rain returned. Aiden found himself staring out the same window where it had all begun. He felt a soft touch on his shoulder. Lily. She stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the storm outside. You saved me that night, she said quietly. He turned to her. No, Lily, you saved me, she smiled, then reached for his hand. The thunder rolled, but the sound didn't scare her anymore. Outside, the city glowed. Inside, two lonely souls who had once been broken stood side by side, no longer afraid of the rain. When she leaned her head on his shoulder, Aiden whispered the same words that had started it all. But now, they meant something more. You're safe now, he said. And for the first time in both their lives, they truly were.